The Swift meatpacking plant near Cactus is effectively shut down tonight.
The fallout continues in Worthington after Tuesday's raid on a meatpacking plant.
Swift & Company owns the plants where nearly 1,300 employees were arrested in 6 different states.
Over 200 who were taken into custody remain in detention centers here in Colorado. Their families and friends who've been completely in the dark about their loved ones' whereabouts since the raid yesterday morning.
On December 12, 2006, hundreds of heavily armed agents of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, stormed 6 meat processing plants.
The union representing workers says federal agents terrorized workers in yesterday's immigration raid.
We had ICE agents with guns walking the perimeter.
More than 12,000 workers were herded together and were systematically stripped of their rights.
I saw all of our civil rights taken away from us in the raid.
And the company says they raise serious questions as to the government's possible violation of workers' civil rights.
Workers were denied access to telephones, to bathrooms, and to legal counsel.
We told him my name, he told us to get against the wall, and he handcuffed us.
Citizens and legal residents were denied the opportunity to retrieve documents to establish their legal status.
I was treated as a criminal on a normal day that I got up and just went to work.
Some were even handcuffed for hours. Others were shipped out on buses.
They had actually taken my husband on a bus and sent him to a camp.
Families, schools, daycare centers could not be contacted so that people could arrange for the children of the detained workers. Families were left divided, not knowing where or when they might see a missing family member again.
The least they should do is let the families know where they're at and where they're going and what's going to happen with them.
What is my baby supposed to do without a dad?
People in a Minnesota community are asking, what will happen to the children left behind?
Well, no one knows for sure what's going to happen to these kids if their parents are deported, but we're told many may have to be deported along with them.
I've encountered people crying, grown men crying, children crying.
But I do know that children were left alone without their parents, with nowhere to go as a result of these raids.
There's no words that I can possibly describe it. I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
Inquiries or protests to ICE officials were met with contempt or were just dismissed.
We had people come on the floor to tell us we are ordered to go to the cafeteria. As we started to go toward the door outside, there was an ICE agent that met us at the door. He asked us our name. We told him our name. He told us to get against the wall, and he handcuffed us. He opened up my lock and he asked me, did I have any weapons? I said no. Took my driver's license out, asked me my name again, asked where I was from. I told him Mike Graves, Waterloo, Iowa. Another ICE agent came and met him at the end of the aisle, and he still had my ID with him. He looked at it, and the other guy looked at it, and he looked at me and said something in Spanish and started laughing. At the time that was done, we had to go outside where it was very cold, still light snowing outside, walked about 400 yards to another building. We had ICE agents with guns walking the perimeter and just with guns in their hand. We was there for the rest of the day for 8 hours with no food, no water. They just held me there with no reason, no probable cause. You know, I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born and raised here, and I'm a black person, and I was treated as a criminal on a normal day that I got up and just went to work.
On December 12th, I was, my rights were violated because whenever we got out of the floor, you know, we got in line and everybody had to get searched. I got to the line, I wore a long jacket. They asked me, well, do you have anything in your long jacket? And I said, no. I said, I took out everything out of there. They told me if I had a pen or pencil, you know, that was to be considered as a weapon. I told them no, that I didn't have nothing. I put everything that I had in a box, and I took off my jacket. He goes, well, now I have to search you. And I said, you're not gonna search me. I said, I'll let a woman search me. I said, you ain't gonna search me. He goes, well, I don't have a woman ICE agent, whatever, here. And I said, well then, no, I'm not gonna let you search me. He goes, yeah, I could get in trouble for not letting them search me. I said, then fine, I won't like that. And he just started touching me everywhere in my body, and you know, I was all like, are you done? He goes, yeah, now you can go over there and sit down where your other co-workers and stuff were at. But that's how I got violated that day on December 12th, because of the way he patted me down after I had requested a lady to come and search me.
I was there the day that ICE had everybody line up. We had to go to, it was about 5 or 6 laptops out there, and you had to show your ID and all that. Well, coming out the locker room, they had everybody take everything out their pockets and everything. And then we had to go through there. Once we got to the laptops, me in my mouth, I asked him, hey, why am I going through this? And the guy said, well, you could be from South Mexico. Then that's when I told him, look at my skin, how dark my skin is. And he said, oh, that doesn't matter. They're dark down that way in South Mexico anyway. Him and another guy, and they kind of laughed about it, and then I went on to the other side, and that's where I was there for 4.5, 5 hours, not eating, drinking, nothing.
I got there early and had started showing signs of a miscarriage, so I had told my trainer that I had to go to the emergency room. I went and left and went to the emergency room, and by the time they had got me all prepped and ready to be taken care of, I asked them would they please call my husband. They said ICE agents wouldn't allow him to leave. He couldn't be released until they had questioned him. They told him time and time why he needed to be released. A doctor told him he needed to be at the hospital with me, and they would not release him. They refused. They had actually taken my husband on a bus and sent him to a camp. Afterwards, I did not know this, but 3 days later, after I cried and begged and pleaded with anyone who would listen to ask where my husband was, he couldn't call. I couldn't call him. We couldn't talk to him, find him anywhere.
As a veteran of the Korean War, there comes a time when you realize that war is not the answer to any human problem, that negotiation is. I saw all of our civil rights taken away from us in the raid, and I want to do something about it and bring back those rights to people.
And today, I am announcing that United Food and Commercial Workers Union, the UFCW, is filing suit in federal court to stop the government from this massive roundup of workers. These roundups are involving hundreds of workers because of government allegations involving just a small number of workers. We have legal counsel here to provide you with the details of the lawsuit. But this suit is at the heart of protecting workers' rights in our country. What most Americans think could not happen here did happen here, and it can happen again in any workplace in America.
A union wants the federal government to pay for a series of immigration raids. The United Food and Commercial Workers today plan to file suit against the feds, claiming that agents illegally held thousands of workers against their will and violated their constitutional rights when they went into 6 Swift & Company meatpacking plants last December.
Violating constitutional rights is what the lawsuit alleges. It was filed in Amarillo Federal Court today by the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
The union says 12,000 workers were detained illegally. Many of those workers are U.S. citizens.
Now, a lawsuit will be filed today in U.S. District Court in Texas. It alleges that agents unlawfully detained workers there and denied them of their constitutional rights.
The lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Amarillo, Texas, alleges that agents unlawfully detained workers and violated their constitutional rights during the raids.
What's going on right now is, there's this impression that if you work in a packing plant or work in other places, work as a janitor, or you work in a hotel and restaurant, that a number of these workers are being perceived as bad people, and workers are not criminals, and work is not a crime, and we certainly don't leave our constitutional rights at the door when we walk into our workplaces. I thought the courage that these people had, not only to stand up to ICE, but to come here and to tell their stories, was absolutely moving. And if that doesn't inspire the rest of us to do something, then we ought to find a different line of work.